All right, if you're a Nissan owner, you know that check engine light can be a real pain in the neck, but a lot of the time it's pointing to a super common issue. So today, we're going to decode one of the most frequent culprits out there, the P0340 code. We're going to break down what it means, why it's happening, and most importantly, how you can actually tackle it.
You driving along, and boom, there it is. That little orange light that just makes your heart sink, right? But hey, don't panic. It's not a death sentence for your car. Not at all. It's actually just a message. Your car is literally trying to tell you something's up, and we're about to figure out exactly what it's saying.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can even think about fixing the problem, we got to understand it. Let's get to the bottom of what this P0340 code really means and talk about those frustrating symptoms it's probably causing in your car right now.
Yeah, on paper, it sounds pretty technical. Camshaft position sensor A circuit malfunction. But let's just cut through the jargon. All it really means is your engine's brain, the computer, has lost the signal from a really important timing sensor. It's kind of like being on a critical phone call that just dropped, no signal. And when that call drops, you get some very real and, let's be honest, very annoying problems. Maybe your engine just cranks and cranks, but refuses to start. Or even worse, it stalls on you out of nowhere while you're driving. You might also be dealing with a really rough idle, or it just feels sluggish when you hit the gas. If any of that sounds familiar, well, you're in the right place.
So to really get this fixed, we need to understand the little part that's at the heart of this whole mess. So let's pull back the curtain on this camshaft position sensor and figure out what its day job actually is.
You know, the easiest way to picture this thing is to think of it as the conductor of your engine's orchestra. You've got all these moving parts, pistons, valves, you name it, and they all need to work in perfect split-second harmony. Well, this tiny sensor is the one waving the baton, making sure everything happens at the exact right moment.
Its job is pretty simple, but it is absolutely critical. First, it just watches the camshaft spin around, tracking its exact position thousands of times a minute. And second, it zaps that timing data straight to the car's computer. The computer then uses that signal to time the fuel injectors and the spark plugs perfectly. So when that signal disappears, the whole engine just falls out of sync.
All right, so now we know the what and the why. Now for the fun part. It's time to play detective. Let's line up all the usual suspects, every potential culprit that could be making this P0340 code show up on your dash.
Now, while there are a few possibilities, one of these is way more common than the others. Most of the time, the problem is just a faulty cam sensor that's finally given up. But we can't rule out other stuff, like a frayed wire, a corroded plug, or even just a simple blown fuse. Sometimes even tiny metal shavings can get stuck to the sensor and mess up its reading. And in really rare cases, the engine's main computer could be the problem.
And now for the part I'm sure you've been waiting for. We're going to move from theory to action. This is your clear, step-by-step guide to hunt down the real source of the problem. But wait, before you grab a single tool, here's a pro tip for you. Check for any other trouble codes. See, the P0340 code loves to have a buddy, the P0335 code, which points to the crankshaft sensor. If you see both of them together, that's a huge clue that you've got a bigger timing issue going on, and you need to look at the whole system.
Okay, here's the game plan. Start with the easiest thing first. Just use your eyes. Find the sensor, it's usually right on top of the engine, and take a close look at the wires. Do you see anything melted, cracked, or soaked in oil? Next up, check the fuses. A blown fuse is such an easy fix, but people overlook it all the time. If all that looks good, then it's time to grab a multimeter and check the connector to make sure the sensor is actually getting power and has a good ground.
So after we run through all our diagnostic steps, we almost always land on one very clear conclusion. So let's talk about the most common fix for this P0340 code, and I've got a super important piece of advice to help you get it right the first time.
Look, 9 times out of 10, this is what it comes down to. If you've already checked the wiring, you've confirmed the fuses are okay, and you know the circuit has power, the answer is almost always the sensor itself. It's just time to replace it.
Now, listen up because this part is crucial, especially for you Nissan owners. These cars are known for being really picky about their electronics. That cheap aftermarket sensor online might look tempting, but trust me, it can cause all sorts of new problems or just fail in a few months. For this specific part, using a genuine Nissan OEM sensor isn't just a suggestion, it's the best way to save yourself a future headache.
And here's the good news. This is not going to be a repair that breaks the bank. The part itself is actually really affordable, usually somewhere in that $15 to $45 range. So for a pretty small cost and a little bit of your time, you can solve a huge engine headache. So just remember, that light on your dashboard isn't there to scare you. It's a direct message from the car you depend on every single day. It's giving you the clues you need to solve the puzzle. So the only real question is, are you ready to listen